We are finally almost at the end. You've got 1 week to go. This week ends on Friday. So it's a little bit of a short week, and I wouldn't say we have more workload this week, but we do have one major project coming up. So let me walk you through what we've got. I'm going to go ahead and tap into our Blackboard section. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys. Okay, so week 5, I gave you a list of tasks, and it's a little bit different if you're teaching or not teaching, but here's the main gist. Got quiz 5, one last one. We have the research proposal, which I'm going to talk about more here in a second. And then discussion board number 6, thinking like researchers. So the manuscript, I provided you a link here, but I believe there's also one in discussion board. And this week for discussion board, you need to post your main stem on Wednesday, and then your 2 peer responses by Friday, because Friday is when the last day of class is. So 2 big ideas from this text, the manuscript, how they might apply to you. How do you believe your skill set and mindset will change because of your action research project? If you're not doing action research, your research project, if you're doing a case study or something that you may implement in your classroom. And then follow the rest of those prompts and respond to each of those. There's 6 of them. So let's go back and talk a little bit about this research proposal. When this class was started, nearly every student in this class was conducting action research. It's something that most of the MAE students do at Truman. So that's how this was set up. But realizing that some of you in different content areas may not do action research. So this is a wide open project. We're just calling it a research proposal. And you can frame this to be whatever you want. If you are already teaching, this is just an idea of some sort of research that you could conduct on your own in your classroom to basically help provide to inform decisions. All the things that we've been talking about throughout this class. So this template, please use this as you're writing. It makes it so much easier for me to grade. This is not meant to be written as a paper, although it can be. But easiest thing, I think, is if you just put your answers right into these areas. So clicking on content area, setting level, let's say it's 5th grade social studies. Proposed title, just give it a title. None of this obviously is set in stone. This isn't something that I share necessarily if you're in the MAE. I don't share this with your university supervisors or advisors. So, but it will give you a step in the right direction if this is something that you're being asked to complete in your 608 class or something pre-internship. So the problem, the issue, the research question or questions, if it is a quantitative study, go ahead and give me your hypothesis. What do you think you will find? And then your anticipated theoretical framework. This is something that a lot of students sort of get wrong, but let me give a little bit of an explanation about this. The theoretical framework is what's happened in the literature, what we know to be true about whatever it is that you're studying. So if I'm looking at, for example, self-efficacy, I do a lot of mixed methods and qualitative research on teachers, beginning teachers in particular, and a lot of their perceptions about how well they're doing in the classroom are based in self-efficacy. And that is purely Bandura. So when I start thinking about the theoretical framework that I'm tying my analysis back to, it's going to be Bandura. So it could be like social cognitive theory. It really, whatever it pertains to self-determination theory, whatever pertains to whatever the research that you're doing. But there should be some historical grounding that once you have results, then what we do is we go back and compare the results that we find in the research to what we know to historically be true. That's the theoretical framework. Operational definitions. So I might define MoShape, that's my Missouri Society of Health and Physical Education. That's something that sets standards for us in the PE world, but somebody reading this manuscript who doesn't understand PE or doesn't know a lot about the PE world might not know what that is, so make sure that those things are defined. Methods. Obviously, we're not conducting this right now, but and you might not know exactly what resources you have, but let's think about what methods you would like to use if you have the resources available. Tell me if you think it's going to be qualitative, quantitative, or mixed methods, and then give me a rationale. Like, why did you choose that? What made you want to choose a purely qualitative study or a mixed method study? Go ahead and give me a description of who you think your participants will be. Is it a group of high school students in a health class? How many do you anticipate having in your study? The characteristics, is it all males? Is it all females? Is it first gen? Is it low SES? As much as you know about what those participants are going to be, and then tell me a little bit about how you're going to recruit them. Detail the instruments you're going to use and any special equipment or resources. Sometimes it may need, if you're doing qualitative and you're doing interviews, you need some kind of recording device. And then give me the steps. Limitations that you might think might negatively affect the results. For example, if you are the teacher in the classroom where you're collecting data and the students know that you're collecting data, do they feel like they have to give you the right answer? Or do they feel like they have to participate in the study because you are their teacher and you're collecting the data? Those can be examples of limitations. Confidentiality is super important when it comes to IRB and getting IRB approval. If you don't know what IRB is, it's Institutional Review Board. And when you conduct research through a university or even through your school, you have to get IRB approval before you can conduct the research. Trustworthiness. If you're doing a qualitative or mixed method study, how can we know that what your results, the results that you're telling us are actually the results that happened? So there can be different ways. If you have a research timeline, if you remember checking, we had some really good video teaching about qualitative methods. You can go back and check out those videos. And then statistical methods. Do you plan to use t-tests to compare pre-post results? Is this an ANOVA because you've got 3 groups? It should be more than just measures of central tendency. Okay. Theoretical time frame for your project. So if you're interning in the fall or considering conducting this research in the fall, in August, what are you doing? In September, what are you doing? How long is this going to take? Give me a time frame. And then any anticipated expenditures, sort of a budget for your project. Any other considerations? And then this last one is meant for you to be thinking through what you need from your master's advisor or principal or colleagues at work. What resources or support would you like? What needs to be in place? And a lot of times my students will say, I just need you to check on me, or I need you to read through my proposal and give me quality feedback related to what you think is really going to work. So those are some of the ideas. Now, easiest thing I said for me is if you just go ahead and type your answers, you can just make them in red font or whatever, right next to my prompts. If you want to write it in manuscript form, just make sure that you hit all these prompts and that it is really easy for me to be able to find these answers there. So that's what we have going on this week. Let me go back to our Blackboard site. And there's one other thing, it's not listed here because it's not related to this, but it would be very helpful to me if you also did your Truman course evaluation. The Truman course evaluation helps me be able to make the revisions to make the class better for future students. And this class, this is only the second time through for this class this way. I think it takes 3 or 4 times through to get it to a really good version of itself. I made some significant changes this summer based on feedback from last summer, and your feedback is super valuable to me. So if you could take 5 minutes and go through and just go ahead and give some feedback, that would be great. I hope you've enjoyed this class. I think it's super applicable to the things that we're supposed to be doing as teachers. It is one of the things when we start talking about measurement and evaluation, it's one of the things that tends to fall by the wayside in the hassle of just getting through our day and managing our space and our students. But it is really important for us to get to a point where we're functioning at a highly effective level. So don't hesitate to come and see me on campus this fall. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy to give a look at your research proposals. And I hope you have some time the rest of the summer to do some fun things before school starts.